guys? Today we're taking a look at a game called Firewatch. Firewatch is on sale right now on Steam for $19.99. So go take a look at it if you find this video at all interesting, and you might want to try out the game for yourself. So let's just jump into a little background on the game. The background on the game is Firewatch is the first video game from Camp Santo Studio. The developers in that studio all came from different backgrounds and everything, and they just decided to team up and start their own studio, and this is the first game they released. Firewatch runs on the Unity game engine, which is a great game engine in my opinion. One of the developers actually disapproved of the tools inside the Unity engine, and decided that he was going to hand model trees, and placed 23 different kinds of trees 4,600 times, and a custom shader was also employed to produce more of a stylized and simplified like bushes and stuff in the game, which I just found was an interesting little fact there, because that's a lot of work. I mean, for like, as I go over this game, you'll understand this game is good, but that was a lot of work for this game. So first off, some of the good parts about the game is the exploring. There's so much to explore, and the graphics are just hands down amazing, and it's a beautiful looking game in my opinion. And honestly, for that reason alone, I would still recommend it. Just personally, because I enjoyed it. I full on enjoyed it just for that reason. But I will get into reasons why you might not want to get this game. But continuing on with the good parts is the storyline is a very good storyline, I feel. It drew me in, and it kept me going all the way through the end. It's more of a story-based game for sure. There's not really action or anything like that. It's just the telling of a story, which games out there are doing that a little bit more these days. And I think they did a very good job with this one. I mean, it takes place, I think it was back in 1960 or something like that. Don't quote me on that. I actually don't have that written down in my notes here. But it's a very good storyline, and it gets almost directly to the point of it and why they made this game and where you're at, what you're doing, why you're there. The whole, like, it covers the background, it covers the plot, the planning, and everything like that. Everything you'd want out of, like, a good book. And it just did it right there in a game for you to walk through the book, basically. And I think it did a wonderful job of it. And I think there's places for these games to actually improve and get better, and just like they could do really good in my opinion. But if you're really fascinated with like nature and the outdoors and stuff, and you've just been looking for a game to look around in like a realistic environment almost, this is definitely a game that you might want to look into. The story is very short, but a very real kind of story that could actually happen. And never mind. But it's a very possible story, if not an actual story. Don't quote me on anything. Just, yeah. So the bad parts about this game was there's only about 3 hours of gameplay, give or take. I mean, I put about 3.5 hours in. I had another friend who put only 2.5 hours in, so about 3 hours, I'd say. And for the $20 price tag there, it's not really worth it, in my opinion. just for the price tag, but if you wait till it goes on sale and get it for like $5 or something, because Steam has those kinds of sales, and I'm sure it'll happen eventually if it hasn't already happened. But if you're interested, then just keep an eye out, and it might be worth the quick, cheap buy there. The ending of the game kind of felt like a cop-out. They didn't explain what happened after all the events in the story. They just kind of cut it off, and they were like, there you go. And personally, I feel like there should have been way more to it. There could have been way more to it. And then, this is just kind of a personal thing. In the Steam store, it's actually tagged as horror, or at least it was at the time of this video. And it's not really a horror game. There's nothing real scary about it or anything. Nothing that's just like, oh, I wasn't like that freaked me out or anything. Like it was bad. It was really bad. Like it's just not a horror game in that aspect. The story was good. It's just not a horror game. So just going over it real quick. All my bases here, the difficulty, I'm giving it a 2 out of 10. It's not really difficult. The most difficult part is learning, okay, I gotta travel this direction. Or I gotta travel this direction. Creativity, because I haven't played much of these, and I like what they did, I'm gonna give it a 9 out of 10. But that's definitely more of a personal choice. Certain people might not agree with that, which is perfectly fine. It's just my choice here, and I'm going to stick with it. Replayability, I'm going to give it a 4 out of 10. Because if you really do want to play through and try to see if there's more to the story or something you might have missed over, then you could definitely do that. But other than that, there's no real replayability here. Like, I played through it once, haven't really played through it again. I've looked at it a couple times and was like, I basically know that story already, so I don't need to. But I mean, it's there. For certain people, it's definitely there. It's just not for me. So overall, that gives the game a 5 out of 10, which is a good score. It's not perfect, not great, but it's not terrible either. And I've come across a couple terrible games, which I think one of the next ones are going to be a terrible one. I don't know if it's going to be the next one or the one after, but I just didn't like it. So, well, thank you guys for tuning in to this one, and I'll catch you next time. Thanks, guys. Bye.